They say the universe isn't made of atoms, but of stories, and our choices are the pen we use to write them. Dr. Julian Vance believed this more than anyone. Deep in a subterranean MIT lab, he stood before the Eidolon, a machine of titanium and light, holding the quantum compass. This wasn't a compass for north or south. It navigated probability, pointing to the future the universe was conspiring to create. For 20 years, this had been his obsession. He picked up the small, watch-sized device. The needle, a sliver of trapped starlight, spun wildly before locking onto a date and time. October 14th, 8:15 a.m. Tomorrow. His heart hammered. The compass had never been so certain. He fed it the coordinates for his estranged daughter Elara. The needle didn't budge, but the dial's color shifted to a violent, bruising purple, the machine's language for termination. Tomorrow morning, his daughter, an architect in Chicago who hadn't spoken to him in 6 years, was going to die. The probability was 99.94%. Fate had made its decision. Now, Julian had to make his. The flight to Chicago was a blur. Julian knew the problem with destiny was its inertia. It's like a heavy river. To change it, you don't throw a stone, you build a dam. He landed at O'Hare and drove to her West Loop loft. He knew her routine. She took the 8:10 a.m. train every morning. That had to be it. He couldn't just knock on her door and rant about quantum physics. She'd think he was crazy and get on that train just to spite him. He had to be subtle. He spent a night in his car, a ghost watching the clock. At 7:45 a.m., Elara emerged. She looked just like her mother. The thought was a dagger. He waited for her to turn the corner toward the station, then got out of his car. As she approached an intersection, he saw a delivery cyclist speeding toward it. He calculated the trajectory and stepped off the curb. Tires screeched. Metal crunched. Bengalas scattered across the asphalt. He fell back, feigning shock. Elara froze. Her eyes darted from the cyclist to him. Recognition flashed. "Dad," the cyclist was groaning. Elara rushed to help him, pulling out her phone to call 911. "What are you doing here, Julian?" she asked, her voice hard. She didn't call him Dad. "I needed to see you," he lied, breathless. "You always cause a mess," she snapped, checking her watch. "Las 8:08. I have a presentation. I can't deal with this." "Don't get on the train," he blurted out. She looked at him with disgust. "Elara, please, just take a cab." The distant wail of sirens grew louder. The delay was working. "I'm taking the train," she said coldly. "Stay away from me." And she ran. He sprinted after her, bursting onto the platform just as the doors of the third car closed, her face a fleeting image in the window. The train moved. He collapsed, pulling out the compass. The needle spun, still locked on 8:15 a.m. He waited for the explosion. Las 8:14. Las 8:15. 8:16. Silence. The compass clicked. The violent purple light vanished, replaced by a soft, steady gold. He had done it. Later, the news broke. A mechanical failure. The first car of the Blue Line train had slammed into a tunnel wall. 12 injured, 2 fatalities. The delay he caused meant she boarded the third car, not the first. He had saved her. He had beaten fate. But as he sat in a coffee shop, tears streaming down his face, the compass on the table began to vibrate. A week later, back in his lab, the compass was screaming. He hooked it to the Eidolon. The monitor, which usually showed the future as a single flowing river, now looked like shattered glass. The timeline was fracturing. He had saved Elara, but created a paradox. The woman who sat next to her in the original timeline, Sarah Jenkins, had died in the new one. And Sarah Jenkins was a pediatric surgeon. 3 days from now, a boy named Leo would die on an operating table because she wasn't there to save him. Leo's father, a diplomat, would resign in grief, and the hardliner replacing him would torpedo peace talks in the Middle East. The butterfly effect wasn't a theory, it was a bill collector. He had saved his daughter, but doomed the world. For a month, Julian became a ghost, trying to perform micro-corrections, but every fix he made caused him more problems. The timeline was unraveling. Then he got a message. Elara had found his lab. She was waiting for him. He returned to MIT, a haggard madman. She was there, looking at the screens, displaying the fracturing timeline. "You knew about the train," she said, her voice trembling. "The woman who died." She was sitting where I usually sit. "Is this all because I didn't die?" She pointed at the data. "The machine says, anomaly, Vance. That's me. I'm the glitch." "I can fix it," Julian pleaded. "Stop," she said softly. "You chose this machine over our family years ago. Now you're choosing me over everyone else. That's not love, Dad. That's vanity. You didn't outsmart the universe. You just broke it." Suddenly, the compass began to scream, its light blinding. The quantum core was collapsing, about to create a singularity. There was only one way to stabilize the timeline. Destroy the compass, but the feedback loop could kill whoever was holding it. Elara reached for it. "No!" he yelled, grabbing her wrist. "It's my life that caused this," she said, "and it's my arrogance that built it," he countered. He looked at his daughter, truly seeing her for the first time in years. "The only free will we truly have," he sighed gently, "is how we face the end." He shoved her back toward the heavy blast doors and hit the lockdown button, sealing her in the corridor. She pounded on the steel. "Julian, open it!" He turned to the compass, now hovering above its pedestal, and grabbed a heavy wrench. "I choose the unknown," he whispered, and brought the wrench down with all his might. There was no explosion, just a sound like a massive intake of breath, and then silence. The light vanished. The machines powered down. It was live. The blast doors hissed open, and Elara ran in. He was on the floor, laughing. "It's gone," he wheezed. "It's all gone." She fell to her knees beside him. "Are you okay?" He smiled, a genuine smile. "I have absolutely no idea what's going to happen tomorrow. Isn't that beautiful?" 6 months later, they sat on a park bench in Chicago. They met for lunch every Tuesday. "Did you see the news?" Elara asked. "The peace treaty. They signed it this morning. The war never happened. The diplomat's son had still died, but the grief had driven his father to work harder for peace, to ensure no other father lost a child. Fate, it seemed, had found a softer way. Julian realized the compass was a lie. It couldn't measure the human Elara capacity for redemption, hope, and change. We aren't trains on a track. We are ships on an open ocean. The winds of fate may blow, but we hold the rudder of choice. "What are you thinking about?" Elara asked. Julian stood and offered her his hand. "I was thinking, I have no idea where we should go for dinner. You choose." She took his hand, and they walked into the wonderful uncertainty of the city, under a sky like a blank canvas, waiting for tomorrow to be written. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like and subscribe for more.